First, I'm sorry because I got a bit of, when I was coming, I got a bit of infection. But now, when you come to Europe and it is hot, you tend to think, am I in Africa? Or it's not very normal. And many times when I come, I just find myself in the cold. I have to wear several jackets and such like. Yeah, but it's interesting to be here. And first to thank Evelyn. I met her some years back when she was working with the minority rights group. And I remember when the last time we were in Belgium, and it was very interesting. So I still recall that time. So thank you very much and I feel humbled to have been invited for such a very high level kind of talk. And I was told to talk about the issue of indigenous peoples or minorities, how they have used and how they have worked over time. So I'm Daniel Kobei. I'm the Executive Director of the Ogiek People's Development Program. We are based in Kenya. I'm one of the founders, and currently I'm the director. And so it has taken us since 1999 to date. So I've been in it for all that time. So one of the issues I will wish to let you know is that you may not get a lot of intellectual perspective, but you'll get a lot of the realities, the practical issues or realities of dealing with the communities. I may not give you a lot of intellectual quotes or references, maybe like my friend did, but I'll tell you how it is to work with communities. I'm from the Ogiek community in Kenya, and being in that community, I was born and brought up in Mau Forest Complex in Kenya. And I have seen through what is happening, and what I'm going to tell you is not what I read, is not what I heard from people. It is that I was part and parcel of everything which took place till we went to the African court until the ruling last year. So for that, I want to tell you a bit about the community. That the Ogiek community are approximately 45,000 people. We live in the Rift Valley region in Kenya. And as a community, one thing we are is that we are distinct. We have our own language. We are our own way of living. We are hunter-gatherer community. Being hunter-gatherer means our historical part of it is that we were hunters and gatherers. But right now in Kenya, they don't want you to be said to be a hunter. They term it as poachers, people who go and kill animals anyhowly. But still, historically, we are known as hunter-gatherer community in Kenya. And from what our brother Melaku was talking about, we are among the people who have been known to be indigenous peoples of Kenya. Because last year, during the ruling, we were given the fact that the court declared Ogiek as the indigenous peoples of Kenya. I think we are the first to be declared by the court of law. All the rest, they were more so they self-declared through the African Commission of Human and People's Rights. And Melago was among the people who did a lot of work in trying to know who are the indigenous peoples of Kenya, where they say the Maasai, the Turkana, the Somalis, the Kenyan Somalis, and the Sengwer, the Endorois, and the Ogiek are the indigenous peoples of Kenya. However, in Kenya, in Africa in general, people have said they don't want everybody is indigenous. So there is that issue. But of course, as my friend was saying, most of them, when they want money from the World Bank, they say they are indigenous peoples in Kenya, or they are indigenous people in Africa. And then they come and do what we call consultation, the so-called, they want consultation so that they can access funds. And many times we have been called to be able to approve some projects in Kenya, just to say that the indigenous people were consulted, so the bank now can give money for any project in Kenya. So this has happened over time, and you find that in the end of the day, the indigenous peoples just were called in a meeting in a boardroom in a hotel, a nice hotel. Then tomorrow they are told about the project. They want to make a road through some of the indigenous people's land, or they want to create the Lapset, which is in Kenya. And then the indigenous people were consulted, so they are part of this project. But in reality, as you are told, that the issue of the safeguards, which the World Bank has been going through, they started from sometime in 1999 when they had this operational policy they wanted, and then that the indigenous people are being consulted in every project. But in reality, the projects they are doing may not favor us, because after we have approved, nobody comes back to us again and say, this is there is no feedback mechanism. So these are some of the things we are lacking as indigenous peoples. Now, for a community like Ogiek, where they are minorities, they are not represented in any political setup, or they are not in any of these, they are ignored somehow, because we do not have anything to say. We are they say in some parts, they say, after all, they don't have any political bloc. In Kenya, there is what we call tyranny of numbers. Doesn't matter who you are. Tyranny of numbers means if your population or your community are many, you can be voted in, whether you are a useless man or you're good. But if your tribe or your ethnic group is big, like in Kenya, if you are a Kikuyu, it is easy to win and become a president because your population is the biggest in the country. So that is the political scenario in the country, and it happens in most parts of Africa. You know, some of you are from Africa, you know that the issue of tribal alignment, tribal issues is very, very common. And you'll find that all these communities face, other communities always feel suppressed. And some of the reason why there are conflicts in Africa is that the minority communities, those who feel their numbers are less, are fighting because they feel they are not being given a chance. They are not being respected. They are not given appointments in government, in parastatals, in some of the senior places. So they are always finding it very, very, very hard. Another thing which now I'll take you back to what I will want to talk about is that in some parts of Africa, especially Kenya, the issue of land is so critical that during the colonial time, Kenya was subdivided into some provinces, and then given what we call community reserves, where people were allowed to stay in given areas. If you are Maasai from that area, if you have, but now a community like Ogiek, who were in the forest, and there were few. In 1930s, the colonial government said, I think this community is so small, it should be assimilated to other bigger communities so that they do not become a problem as far as white highlands in Kenya are concerned. That is now where I'm talking about more forest complex. So they were told, but when they were removed, they still came back. That was 1930s. So that was the start of the struggle of the Ogiek people. They still felt they are supposed to be in Mao Forest Complex. And in Kenya, there are two major forests where the Ogiek are. One is Mount Elgon, and the other one is Mao Forest Complex, where I will talk more about Mao Forest Complex, where I come from, and where the African case went through. So that's one of the issues which you will be able to hear more as we go along. So I told you that is, we were established in 1996 sorry, it's 1999, and we got registered in 2001. And our main focus as an organization, that is OPDP, is the issues of human rights, land and natural resources, environmental issues, good governance, gender, and youths. And as I'll talk, you will find that all the issues I'll be talking about will be mainly on this. So these are some of the things you will realize that in this, in our organization, that's basically what we do. And as a director, whenever we do anything, gender and youth is always key. Because as I will be talking about our case, you'll find that if you talk about youths, one of the greatest challenges we had initially as OPDP is the fact that the youths were feeling left aside. They felt they were not part of the struggle. They felt they were not being consulted anytime we were doing anything about land issues. They felt that they were like minorities when it comes to land, and yet when we are talking, we say we are fighting for our children, for the people who will take over. Then they ask, why are you now not involving us in what you're doing? I remember one time I had a meeting with the youths, and I went to ask them, oh, we need your effort. Now that the issue of Facebook has come, social media, we need you to support us to do all this. One question came, you are talking about us, and you have never informed us what you are doing. We only see you in the media. We hear you fighting, talking in media, in newspapers, in TV, radio, but we don't know what you're doing. We have seen our fathers being evicted in land, and they are landless. They are staying by the roadside, and you have never told us what you're doing. And we are not ready. Some of them tell me that we are not ready to wait and wait and wait and wait, because some of our people started long time ago. So what are you telling us? Because we are not part of the struggle. So that was now an important aspect which we realized there was great need to have youths in everything we were doing. Because they were the people to bring you down. They can talk some very serious things about you, or they can really make you, and you know, youths can criticize you very easily. They don't just leave it. They say, oh, you are doing it for your own gain. You are doing it for your own popularity. And you are not really doing it for the community and all that. But the moment we involve them, we have seen a very strong support within the youth, and even the use of media has become more popular now about the issues of Ogiek than never before. I think I mentioned that we are about 45,000, of course 6,000 are, and most of the Ogiek land were declared as forests by the government, and so they were not ever recognized as really our land. Despite the fact that we feel it is our land, but the government of Kenya was calling it their government forest or protected areas. For us, we say it's our land, the government says it's their land. So, there's been a lot of constant evictions to date, and then that's why now the communities started seeking for going to court. So we started in 1990s. That is when we started saying, I think it is high time we go to court. We get legal remedies for our problem. So some of the cases from 1997, we started going to court in Kenya. So when we started going to court in Kenya in 1997, we started saying we need our land back. We need to be recognized as the owners of more forest complex. So those now from 1997 all the way to 2009, we were still in court in Kenya. Now, I think some of these have been said by our brother, and I don't wish to repeat. I don't want to talk about that, but it's good to just repeat some of them. All these were related to some of the issues you see in Africa. And from that time, the African Commission established and then based in Banjul, and the African Court established in 2006 based in Arusha, Tanzania. I know somebody had asked a question about the African Court, which I think after my discussion, I'll be able to tell you about that. So in this case, you'll realize that when the indigenous people, the Ogiek people realized, there was need for us to go to court. We went to court, and it became so continuous. The file missing, those most of you I had, you are lawyers. They say that they never, the lawyer is sick, not able to come to court. The next week is adjourned, postponed, all those legal language about the being adjourned and all that. So, till then, in 2009, the Ogiek now were given ultimatum that they should leave Mao Forest Complex. Everybody in Mao Forest Complex, they were to be evicted in 2009. And we were given 14 days to leave. Remember, you are being given 14 days to leave where you have been all your life, all your generation, everybody. Now, by then we had a lawyer by the name Korir Singoe, who was representing the Endorois people in the Banjul, the Gambia. Then I called him and asked him, now we have been told to leave. Where are we leaving to? What do we do? Korir Singoe by then told me, can you allow me, can I write something to the commission, African Commission on Human and People's Rights, to tell them of the situation of the Ogiek people as at now? I said, please go ahead. He wrote a letter to the African Commission telling them to ask the government of Kenya to stop evicting Ogiek people in their ancestral land. And it happens, it was stopped, but nobody gave us a letter saying it has been stopped. It just went silent, we don't know, the eviction is not going on, but the eviction notice by the Kenya Forest Service was still on. So we say, what's happening? Now the letter, when Korir Singoe came, now I went and consulted the community, the Ogiek community, and asked them, and I was asking them, what do we do? Now that the community had to be evicted, the Ogiek had to be evicted. Korir told me, now we have to tell the community if they can allow us to take their case to the African Commission on Human and People's Rights. I called all the the leaders from every location, every area, totaling to almost 50 people. The chiefs, the councillors, those are the highest cream of the Ogiek community. And then I told them, what do we do? Do we continue with the Kenyan court cases, which we have been in since 97, that is almost 14 years, or do we proceed and forward the case to the African Commission on Human and People's Rights, like the way the Endorois people did? Then we had a whole day discussion at around 3 o'clock, that is 2009, November. We started saying, okay, let's do voting. We voted what we call secret ballot. So we started voting. Out of 45, 38 of us said we forward the case to the African court. And 5 said no, we pursue the Kenyan court. Now, we asked the lawyers who were there. I think we had also somebody from MRG that at that time who had just come. We asked them, what do we do? What is the procedure? So they say we have to do, they follow admissibility. We have to take some evidences, which we did a lot. They did evidences and all that. They say, okay, that is now the start of us going to the African Commission on Human and People's Rights in the Banjul, Gambia. Now, Korir Singoe pursued it. He followed the case all the way to the African Commission. Then we did some evidence collections, which OPDP, where I lead, was the key. We were the one doing it. And of course, after a short while, we had Minority Rights Group International requested to be enjoined. And we had now the support from Minority Rights Group. And then IGIA from Denmark came in and said, we are the one who will support the lawyer. That will Korir Singoe. That for us, we will support the lawyer to help you follow up the case. So it was a relief for us, because now we knew at least somebody will pay for the lawyer. Because one of the challenge of the community was, now that you have told us we are taking the case to the African Commission on Human and People's Rights, who will pay for the case? Now it was a challenge for me. And then Korir Singoe was there. Korir Singoe said, we are going to look for friends all over the world to see if we can get somebody who will agree to finance the case. Then the people started, the community said, please tell us, because if we have been having a problem paying for the case here in Kenya, Nairobi, how much more will it be if we go to the African Commission? Who will be paying for the lawyer to take a flight to Banjul? Who will be paying for this? Which they were genuine. Because one, the community didn't know much about NGO issues. They believe that you should sell whatever you have to finance the case. So one of the issues which really was that it was challenging, really challenging, to convince the people that we are starting the case. A member of the Minority Rights Group by then, which they had not been enjoying, said, MRG also, we will talk to MRG to see if they can also finance and support the case in doing evidences and such like. So, so this is about facts about Mao. It's about 400,000. The forest itself. So all these are historical issues. I think he will be able to be shared with you. That's not very important for now. So this was the order which we were given by the Kenya Forest Service, that the OGH should leave within 14 days. That was talking about 22 forest blocks of approximately 400,000 hectares. It's a big land. That is now, so Semiride is where, when you see Semiride, the Center for Minority Rights, Rights Development in Kenya, where Korir was, and MRG. That is now when we moved the African Commission. So the case I was saying was, which was filed in 1997, there was one in 19. In fact, in total, we had 22 cases, all talking about land. But the major one was the one which is the one of 1997 called Latuya and 21 others. So this was one of the main cases. So when we were given that 14 days now, that is when the issue of the commission. So due to the mass violation of the human rights, the commission issued provisional measures in 23rd November 2009, suspending eviction but there was no response from the government of Kenya. By 2012, the commission realized we had a problem because the government of Kenya was not responding even to the challenges of the endeavours. We had similar issues. So they realized this was mass violations, so they decided to take the case to the African Court of Human and People's Rights in July 2012. That's when we went now to the African Court. But remember, the community are not allowed to go, as by the charter, to go straight to the court. You must go through the commission. So our case, it is not us who take it to the court. It was taken by the African Commission on Human and People's Rights, but it was being supported by the Minority Rights Group International and Center for Minority Rights in Kenya, and joined together with OPDP, my organization. So the people who took the case to the African Court is not Ogiek themselves, it was through the commission. So the commission realized they were not being respected, so they decided, go ahead and take this case to the African Commission, African Court. So some of the issues which we realize is that when this issue came in, the commission has taken the case to the court. I was a bit perplexed myself. I'm not a lawyer. So I asked, what is the difference? Why have you decided to take the case to the African Court instead of retaining it in the African Commission? And I got so worried because, remember, I'm the one to report to the community. It is not the lawyer in MRG. It is not the lawyer in the Center for the Minority Rights. The community wants constant communication from my organization. So I called the lawyer in Lucy Claridge, the lawyer in MRG. She said, it is good, but I was not still convinced. Korir Singoe, I called him also, said it is a good idea. And he said, Daniel, you are lucky that this is the first time the case has been taken to the African Court, a community case in the whole of Africa. So your organization, your community are lucky because the case will be binding, unlike the commission. So I asked them, kindly, can I have a brief of this? Can I have a brief so that I will tell the people? Remember, get this perspective because there was communication, the feedback mechanism between me and the community. There was constant communication. You could not stay 3 months, 1 year without telling the community. Every month, every two months, I have to call the meeting with the elders to tell them that this is how bad the case is, this is what is happening. Otherwise, there were many people ready to distract the community from the case. So we realize now that it was very, very important. And during that time, there were a lot of people. Remember in Mao, which maybe I have not told you, it's not only Ogiek who have come. Mao have been set as a political place where the government are bringing the people who have been doing very well for them, and they come and subdivide Mao and get title deeds, while the Ogiek, they are told, you people, you are in court, so stay waiting for your court decision. And then they subdivide the whole place. There is a lot of grabbing of the same land. There is a lot of chances of trying to do assimilation. There is a cases of people trying to divide the community. In fact, when I was fighting for this case, one of the people we started the movement for the Ogiek wrote a letter to the commission telling them The group which have taken the case are not the right people. They are not the Ogiek. They are just people who are seeking money from in the, Western communities, from the white people. So they are not the right people. So please don't support this. And it was done by the government. Right now I'm with him because the case has succeeded. By then, he was promised a lot of things by the government. And yet we started the movement together. But he went against it. He started fighting us from within. So one of the challenges we had is trying to deal with our internal problems, trying to help the people to understand what we are fighting for. They were told that, I remember one day we were called by the deputy president. That is when there was this provision from the court saying that the community, there should be no transaction in Mau Forest Complex. So they created what we call a caveat. So that caveat was to deny anything going on in Mau Forest Complex. So they were told that it is now time that you should not do anything in Mau. People went to see the president. And the president was told, can this issue of caveat be removed in Kenya? Can it be gotten rid of? Because it is creating a problem. Myself and the friend I was telling you about, we were called, around 6, 7 of us, to go and see the deputy president. Remember in Kenya, when you talk about deputy president, he's a very powerful person. And really you have to think, and then people were saying, what will happen to me? What will happen to the leaders now that he has been called? I told them, we'll go, no problem. We went and saw the deputy president. The first thing he did, he said, are you using your mind? Are you okay? He started threatening us. Imagine in an office of a deputy president, he's already threatening you. Is your mind okay? How do you take the whole country to court? How do you take the whole government to African? You are exposing the country. You are making the country to look like we are violating the rights of people. You are doing all this. We kept quiet. But he said, okay, let's take tea first. He said, okay, let's take tea, okay. And I felt when he said, let's take tea, things were going to subside a bit. I said, it's okay, let's have tea. He said, oh, Daniel, you are still fighting all these years. You are not getting old. You are not getting tired. I say, because one time it happened, I was with him, because I was supporting an opposition party. And because we were fighting, we thought maybe if we get an opposition party, it was going to support the rights of the Ogiek community. So I was with him. He knew me by name. So he said, you should be back to government. I should have given you a job. I say, oh, I'm okay, sir. You know how you praise some of you know the African people. You say, yes, sir, all the time. Because these are very powerful guys. They can decide your fate anytime. Then after a short while, he said, can't you tell me exactly why you went to court? For 40 minutes. I narrated the whole story. My friend gave it for 20 minutes. I took another 40 minutes. That was 1 hour. He took notes. He took 3 cups of tea because he kept getting to know more every time. Then by the end he said, don't you think this case can stay forever in court? He said, if the court will say it is our right, so it will be there forever. If we do it politically, if you get out of government, whoever will come will reverse it. He said, okay, I think you have a point. He said, then we told them about some of the people who were killed, including in 2016. One of our elders was killed by land grabbers because he was fighting for the rights of the community. He was shot and in front of police. The people who are supposed to protect you, they are allowing you to be shot, and then they will take the person to court and then release him on bail. That was it. It went up to today. 3 years down the line, nothing has been done. When he heard that somebody was killed, he was like, about land? I said, yeah. Then he said, okay, I think now, okay, let's do one thing. We'll do other things, but please consider withdrawing this case, then we can finish your issue. We say, we are okay, just clear our issue, we will withdraw the case, which he never did. Of course, in 2014, on 27 and 28 November, around 27 of the Ogiek community went to Addis Ababa for the hearing. The hearing was done on 27 and 28 of November 2014. It took 2 days.
Tell us a little bit about this hearing. Who comes, who does the hearing, how does that unfold?
Yeah, that's good. The hearing is the African Court judges, so 9, and of course our lawyers, that is the lawyers representing the African Court, and then we had the witnesses. The witnesses were the Ogiek community. During the hearing, there were 2 witnesses, 1 lady and 1 man. The whole day of 27, it was hearing, cross-examining, hearing, cross-examining the whole day. Then the next day again, a similar case, and then this on 28, the judges said they have heard us, and they said they were going to give their verdict or whatever about the case. So we stayed. After some time, the government of Kenya, the court called the government, wrote to us saying, can you consider amicable settlement? We felt, no. Why amicable settlement? We have already tried our government. They have come up with task forces. There was one called Mao Task Force. They made recommendation. Nothing happened. We were called and we formed what you call Ogiek Council of Elders, where I was the secretary. And we did everything thinking the issue of Ogiek case will end. Nothing happened. We were called for another meeting, including all the stakeholders, the World Bank, the Kenya Forest Service, everything in a big meeting in a place called Eldoret. It was called a colloquium, a big meeting. Millions of money was used. Nothing happened. So when I asked the community that the court has told the commission that the Ogiek community to consider amicable settlement, meaning we were to discuss the Ogiek plus the government. We felt, no, it can never work. The community said, no, let's go for full judgment. The commission came all the way to Nairobi to come and ask us, please consider the request of the government. We said no. The commission said it cannot happen. You have to consider. In fact, our lawyer, Lucy Claridge, by then, because Korisingwe had been poached by the government. That's another scenario. Our main lawyer got employed by the government as the chief legal officer of the deputy president. Can you imagine a situation like that?
Yes. Yes.
Whereby you are like helpless. You know, it's like a sick person. The doctor says, okay, I leave you to the nurse to deal with you. Yes. Let me have a better... It's like you are left to die.
Did you meet with her afterwards?
With
him?
Yeah, he still says, what he did to us, he said, by the way, my wife is a lawyer, so he will be helping you in the meantime. So let MRG continue with you. Thank God we had a very strong lawyer in MRG by then, who was working with us. So we felt, okay. But you know, there were challenges because a lawyer in UK and a lawyer in Kenya there was some challenges because whenever we need something, we have to talk on Skype, on WhatsApp, and everything which is available. But now this lawyer, I could call him and he will come or drive to Nakuru or come and do some work. Yes.
But did he do anything against you?
No, that one I don't want.
To his credit.
Yeah, he actually handed over.
To his credit.
He handed over and said, I will not be able to work with your case anymore.
Big thing. He stayed away.
Yeah, he step aside.
Yeah.
He step aside, yes.
He's also one of the, maybe the only lawyer in Kenya who knows minority and indigenous.
Yes.
So you're being left without lawyer.
Yeah, he's still
But
our.
you could have been left with an enemy.
Yes.
Instead of a bystander.
He's still our friend, no problem. I can say that. But so when it happens now, we call the lawyer. She came all the way for one-day meeting in Nairobi to come and request the community to agree for amicable settlement because it was the request of the court. Now, the Kenyan government said they were happy with the amicable settlement, very happy. But for us, we were like, now we gave our conditions, how we wanted it. The Kenya government gave their conditions, which were way out of place. One of the conditions the government gave was, we need all the Ogiek to have birth certificates. And you know, in Kenya, to get a birth certificate is not easy, especially those of us who were born before 80s. If you were born before 80s, I know many of you were born after 1980, but those of us who were born before 1980, it is not easy to get a birth certificate because there were no records kept about you are not born in a hospital like me, so I was not, so there was nobody to write details about me. So it's only I got my birth certificate because I needed a passport. That's how I got mine. But anybody else, to get a birth certificate is not easy. Now the government says, we want every Ogiek to have a birth certificate. Secondly, we only want a registered number of Ogiek to be considered for this case. Third, we don't want Ogiek People's Development Program to be part of this issue. And yet we are the one who took the case to court. Another issue, we don't want African Commission. Another one, we don't want a lawyer who is not Kenyan to be part of this issue. So it complicated the whole thing. Now, the next thing, when they say they don't want to deal with the commission, we told the commission, please, we cannot move with these conditions. The conditions were so bad that we cannot proceed on with these conditions. Now, the commission, because they were the one who were pushing us to accept, they realized even them they have been rejected by the same government. Now, after that, the commission decided, they wrote to court that we cannot continue with the amicable settlement. So we are requesting the court to go ahead with the judgment. The government had violated all their argued articles. That is, some of you will get a charter, 1, 2, 3, 8, 14, 17, except Article 4, which they had said that there was nobody was killed. So the issue we wanted was the restitution of the Ogiek ancestral land, compensation for all the damages which we suffered, the adoption of legislation and other measures, ensuring that the Ogiek rights to be effectively consulted, the issuance of full apology to the Ogiek, including the erection of public monument, so some of the things we needed, and full recognition of as indigenous people. So government ordered to take measures within a reasonable time frame to remedy all the violations committed and submit a report of the step taken within 6 months. The court decided that it will rule on reparations in a separate decision and each party given 90 days. All these were changed to almost 120 days, which now we are waiting for reparations. because I don't want to bore you long, we have a video so that, because it was after lunch, so don't want anyone to get bored. And then we'll be able to, this is the ruling on last year, that is May 2017, and which was what happened, and you'll be able to hear more. Then I'll talk to you more. Thank you.
This case has been a long struggle for the African community. We have been in the courts, several courts in Kenya for the last 20 years, but we have never get justice. We are excited about this. We expect that they will have success. This will be a milestone and a success for the Okia community. We are happy that finally we are in the judgment bench.
Of the situation of the Ogia community, and you could see sorry that the lights were not there, but at least you could get a bit of it, that there was a lot of support from the women, which you should take it as a point, that this case became more stronger and well supported because women took forefront. One of the reasons being, men were easily bought by outsiders. Men were easily taken by any monies which came across, because our country, Kenya, one of the issues is that corruption is so real, and many African countries, you may know. So it was very easy to buy them off. Some were promised some things, some were given chances that they will be given this and that. But the women continue saying, if there will be eviction, they are the ones to suffer with the children. The men will be alone. And until now, as OPDP, we do a lot of projects which are focused on women and youths. And this has given strength to the struggle we have had for the Ogia community. Because anytime there are problems, the men are the ones to come and say, Kobei, you forget about this. The government is ready to give us some little money. And there were some even 2 years ago who are bought. They were told they were given some 400,000 Kenya shillings to go and buy land elsewhere. But the question is, where will you take our ancestors? Where will you take those who are buried in Mao? Are you going to carry them with you wherever you will go? No. So the question has always remained that we have to stay, we have to get our land rights correct. So as we are talking right now, the government of Kenya have always been deciding on whether to allow the Ogiek. So most recently, they formed a commission, the commission to look into the Ogiek issue. Now, as in a commission, you know, in Kenya, commission, if you want to make people happy, you form a commission. That commission will not be able to, it will give you time to make decisions. So as we are waiting right now, we are waiting for some of the issues or what the commission have decided. In that commission, of course, the Ogiek are not part of that commission. And they are given 14-member commission. And before they finish their work, they have already changed 2 chairpersons. One was removed, and they put another one. The other day, they promoted him or transferred him to another ministry, meaning he cannot be the chair of that particular commission. So this has complicated everything. And even as we are talking, there is already some effort by the government to evict people in Mao. So the Ogiek are again in trouble because they don't know whether even this week as I'm here, whether they have been evicted. Because there is already, they are saying, after all, the court is, we know about courts. And we cannot allow, they say we cannot allow Mao to be destroyed in the name of Ogiek. And yet they are forgotten, the people who came and destroyed part of Mao are not Ogiek. These are people who are brought by the same government. And they are the same people which are being evicted and given land elsewhere. So it's a strategy which is not clear to us why the government is doing what they are doing. So the challenge has been, the government is saying the Ogiek are having a problem with the environment. So to the government, they say, we are not having any problem with the Ogiek. We have a problem that Mao forest is being destroyed. Then we asked them, if from the court said it was not the Ogiek. If they were to destroy, they should have destroyed those 100, 200 years ago. Why they destroyed only for the last 20 years? So we don't have power source. We don't have the ability to destroy 400,000 hectares of land. You know what I mean by 400 hectares of land? It's a big land. So the 14-member task force was formed so that it could be able to remedy some of the issues. So, so some of the issues that they feel they want to be able to feel reparation, to submit the clarification of what has been done. So all these, the government have been having a lot of issues which they want to do, but in perspective, they want to delay justice for the Ogiek community. So they always want to create some task force. This task force is meant to confuse the community, and we keep on waiting and waiting and waiting. So, so there have been always a lot of challenges which we have faced as a community, because one, we have to continue making the community to wait and believe that the case will solve their problem. So as we were doing, one of the greatest challenges we face as OPDP is to keep people waiting for 8 years. Because we were from 2009 to 2017. Remember telling people, you wait, next year, wait. It was not very easy. But we created one issue that we keep telling them what is going on. Anytime we receive a letter from the court, we call them and read the letter to them and tell them this is what is happening. Anytime we receive any communication, we all give feedback. The moment you don't talk to them, they feel maybe you have been bought by the government, maybe something is happening. So all those reactions has always been there. And the community have kept saying, what is happening with our case? What is happening with our case? So, but the government have always been saying, oh, the Ogiek, whenever anybody comes from all over the media, they say, oh, we will deal with the Ogiek issue. We'll deal with the Ogiek issue. But now, as we are waiting for reparations, or some of the submissions we made, is we are requesting what kind of compensation we want, the kind of restitution we want, how we want to protect Mao, and all that. And we have already started project for environmental issues. As OPDP, we have already restored 200 acres of land under indigenous trees. Because what has happened is that we want to show the government that given a chance, we can participate in restoration. Because they always feel that we are destructive people. But we always want to show to them that we are going to do a lot in restoring Mau. And we have a model, a plan to ensure that everything goes for the better and for the best of the community. Maybe I want to pause there if there are issues for reaction, that I don't bore you with a lot of issues. Yeah.
I'm Ali from Iraq. I'm happy when I see these stories. It give us some hope to stay working. I first time hear about this story, but before I hear about the same situation in Kenya also, about Andrews.
Yeah, Andrews.
Yeah. In 1970, the government take them land, and the African Commission they decide this is illegal. I think that is in the past. My question, between 2009 and 2017, what you are doing? Are you leaving the land?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Between 2009 to 2017, Ogiek are in around 5 counties. 5 counties are regions which have been subdivided administratively. Some of the Ogiek are outside the forest. They were evicted and they were completely outside, and nothing changed. Those who are inside the forest, they are still inside the forest, but they don't have any document which allows them to be there. So they are prone to being evicted anytime. So those are the ones I'm talking about. Secondly, between that time, there has been a lot of changes. At least some of the government decided in 2017 to appoint one of the Ogiek to be a senator to the government, which they were saying, oh, you see, now we are doing something for the Ogiek. For the first time to have a senator in the assembly, which has never been since time immemorial. So we have a senator which were nominated because our people cannot be elected to such a very high level. So they say, oh, this senator will help you to ensure that what you fought for in court, you will achieve. So these are some of the issues which we faced that it has not, and then within that time again, there has been a lot of trying consultation. Within that time, that is also a lot of time to give people a chance, some to be bought by the government, to be promised some goodies, and it has been happening. But in between, we have also been trying to ensure that we keep the Ogiek together by creating awareness, frequent visits, forums. We usually go and do forums and we do also other projects. Telling Ogiek, we cannot die waiting for the case. We can still do other projects. We can still do some socio-economic projects, because you cannot keep on telling people about human rights, telling them about the case. They need their children to eat. They need to have clothes. So you have to do at least something to keep them going. It's a very good question, yeah.
Thank you very much, Daniel, for the good presentation. You said the Ogiek community are very much dispersed, and they are not only staying in the Mau forest and Mount Elbert. Do they have the same voice, given the fact that they are being dispersed all over the country? Do they actually fight together as a community? Or do they realize that they have a voice to present the government? Right, that's one thing. Well, for the land issues, in most cases in Africa, minority actually suffer. And this is a reality. It's not only in Kenya, but in the continent of Africa, such issues are being faced. All right? Even in Ethiopia, the same thing. Because they have the policy of nationalizing the land, okay, even given the current government, they actually pursued the junta military regime policy of the land ownership by the government, right? Which the locals are not given the chance to actually have the rights of the land, with the exception of use-fact rights, that they can use it temporarily, and when the government wants it, it can be taken over by the government, and you can be evicted. And it will be up to you to move wherever you want. But where will you go? Because this is ancestral land, right? So it's the same experience that is being, practiced, everywhere in Africa. And the Ogiek community case is not exceptional. But the good thing is the court decisions, all right, to have you back the ancestral land is quite very good. Thank you.
Thank you. The voice we have with the Ogiek, especially those in Mount Elgon, which were not involved in the case, during the time we were filing the case, we tried, but the court or the African Commission said because of the differences, it was very hard to combine the case. So for them, they are still working, and they were promised some land, and they were also trying to use what we call the Wakatane process, which they were working with the IUCN, trying to see how they can work, the communities work together with the government in trying to protect and preserve the environment, which has not worked very well. But as far as the voice, we have been having the same voice. In fact, when we were in Arusha, Tanzania, we went with almost 100 Ogiek, around 2 buses, and some of them used other private means. And part of that community members were from Mount Elgon, which is around 300 kilometers difference. So that one, they say they cannot be part of the process of the case of Mao. But for the voice, we are together. In fact, we came up with what we call forest dwellers network, which we are working with other forest communities like the Boni in coastal region, the Sengwer, which are in the Cherengani region, because we have similar issues. Similarly, it is true we are not this, in the Batwa people in Congo, in Uganda are facing the same problem. In fact, we have had several people visiting us as far as Cameroon, the Mbororo people coming to visit the Ogiek. We have the Baga people who are having forest problem also in Cameroon. They have also been consulting us. We had visit from members of DRC with the Batwa coming to see and get some first-hand information on the process of Ogiek underwent. One other issue is that it's not easy, especially to lead such a case. As a leader, you must be strong, ready to sacrifice a lot, ready to be able to be humiliated sometime, taken to court. I have been to police many times to write statements. Anytime Ogiek are arrested or having a problem, they said, I'm the one who sent them. I'm the one who when there was a fight with the Ogiek and other community, I was taken to CID. Thank God I've been having several lawyers behind me. Anytime I'm taken, I call them. Because they always believe I'm behind. Even if Ogiek fight with another person, they think I'm behind it. So I've gotten used to writing statement in the police and always being suspected for anything. But I've been effective, and also media has played a big role for the Ogiek community fighting, and we have kept using media. Anytime it happens, we have media houses, which are our friends, we call them. And whenever they put something, the government decides to go down a bit. Thanks for that, yeah. Any other? Yes.
Hello. Thank you for the presentation. It was, I enjoyed it a lot, and it was powerful. And you have a real talent to present, even though you're not a lawyer. I think you did a lot better job than lawyers do in general when presenting a case. So congratulations on that and on winning the case also. Maybe I didn't understand correctly at the first presentation today that the African Charter would not be legally binding, so the rulings of the court could not be enforced to the states. And if this is correct, then my question to you would be, what is your action plan if the Kenyan government would not implement the court, would not respect the ruling of the court?
Thank you. What my friends talk about, there are two issues here. The African Commission on Human and People's Rights and the African Court. The African Court is binding, but the Commission is more or less like arbitration, which most of you know. Like any other case, which can happen anywhere, when the concerned people do not want to implement, we continuously lobby, advocate, because it is very little you can do when your government decides they don't want to implement, because it's an issue of a state, it's not an individual. So we'll go on lobbying with the court, with the commission, and anytime they violate anything, we write to the commission, the court, and they always say we are respecting the court decision. And in fact, for the first time, they have even shown some interest to do implementation. Initially, people thought, they will rubbish it, they will not even respect it. But you see, the formation of the African Court, Kenya is a signatory. They are the one who formed that particular court. So you remember last time they were even in court with the ICC, and then the people were asking them, so they said, we want to withdraw from ICC, so we want to be only work with the African courts. If they don't respect, it means they even don't respect their own courts. So I don't know, some of you are lawyers, you are free also to comment on this, because it is not something easy, especially when you are dealing with the state, and they want to respect and protect, and they also don't want to be shown not to have respected the case. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I would also like to congratulate you on a very, very powerful presentation. We've become supporters of the OGF case.
Thank you. Thank you.
So you've made us supporters of the OGF case. Maybe we can have a Facebook post in support of the OGF ruling and its implementation. But I would like to ask you about one aspect of the ruling, issuing an apology by the government. In this region, Central and Eastern Europe, because of issues of, we have lots of issues of transitional justice. There are lots of cases of abuse and historic cases, and our governments gradually get to issue apologies on certain issues such as the Holocaust and so on. Now, this apology issue, is this something you ask for, the OGF asks for particularly, or is this an aspect the court brought in? So this issue of apologizing from a community, does that have any precedence in court rulings?
That's a very good observation. In fact, it is a request from the community.
Oh.
It was a request, and it's part of reparations. that we, as a way of healing, and because the community feel to have been humiliated when they are being evicted every now and then. There are schools which were closed down in 1986. Some of our friends could not go to school because of that problem. They could not proceed. Some girls got married off before they could proceed in education, because not being in school for almost 7 years could make a big difference. If a girl of 7 years, it will be 15, 16 years, will not accept to go to grade 1, grade 2, because the school was closed down because of eviction and such like. So there were a lot of violations which were done, and some of them cannot be quantified. They cannot be said how much you qualify, how many millions. In fact, when we talked of compensation, we said we will only need some, if there will be any money, it should be put in one community development account, where it will be manned by trustees for development, bursaries to support the children and to support a lot of things, because nobody can say, I qualified to be given this amount of money, or I suffered more than you, or I suffered more than somebody else, because the challenges was compounded within the whole community. So there were a lot of these things which we felt it really made a lot of. And thanks also for saying you will support the GIEC. And really, all of us, we have a Facebook, and we have a website. And then really, because it is a big issue. It is not easy. African countries, you know, some of you are from Africa. It's not easy to make government to agree to implement a decision. It's not easy. Even where we have reached, every African, and I'm asked this question, how did you do it? And it was a lot of consistent and also evading a lot of challenges, trying to avoid also being so much of a media person. Many times when media call me, I don't agree every media house to call me for me to make some, because anytime you expose yourself too much, you got yourself, people know Daniel Kobei by name, but they have never met me, they have never seen me, because I try as much as possible not to be always in front of the cameras in Kenya, especially at a time when you are fighting for the case. For now, I have no problem. Previously, I could not easily accept every media houses taking me on TV, because every time my picture is put, people photocopy and say, this is the bad man who warned us out of Mao. This is the bad man. My family members, one time they could not sleep in the house for 3 weeks because they were being attacked because of me. And they said, oh, we will kill you. You go tell your son to stop this affair, or we'll kill all of you. And then some of my brothers tell me, can you stop? You have gone to school. You can get a better job. You can do all this. You stop this issue of fighting, struggling for the Ogiek. After all, the Ogiek don't like you. Some of them don't love you. You know, they want to create any environment to make me feel like, after all, why should I continue the fight? But because it was passion, it was in me, I could not stop. And I told them, I went to school so that I can help Ogiek. That might be the reason why. Because for them, they felt like, what is the struggle about? And yet we are suffering, we are being said, we are the cause. And these are done by land grabbers, people who came to Mao, who are non-Ogiek, who want to see that Mao is a very fertile place, it's a nice environment. For those, I don't know any one of you have been to Kenya. If you have been there, if you managed to visit there, it is a very beautiful place, and everybody will want to settle with all these indigenous trees, nice environment, and all that.
So was an apology issued?
No. Oh, my friend, it's not a very easy thing in Kenya for the president to stand with the cameras and apologize for the Ogiek. The people will tell him, why did you apologize? It is not that the president may wish to do it, but the people are surrounding him will say, no, you don't need to. Then apologize for this community. Apologize for this other community. So they will tell him, so you apologize because every community has faced a given problem or the other.
Yes. I just want to add a few more things. Because you said from the beginning you try to present the case obviously from the view of the community, and I would like to just have a few comments. Why the case was important from a legal perspective and from a minority indigenous rights perspective. You listed the articles at the beginning, what kind of violations the court found. So I just want to share it with everyone. In addition to right to property, a right to freedom from discrimination, the court also found a violation of right to religion, right to take part in cultural life, the state obligation to protect culture. And what was also interesting, that they found the violation of people's right to freely dispose their wealth and natural resources, and people's right to development. So basically, the court acknowledged that sub-state ethnic groups or communities can be also considered peoples. So that goes back to the group rights element of the charter.
Thanks for helping me in that. And maybe also the website, there are some websites which I thought will be helpful. I don't know whether we'll be able to, or I think so these are some of the how it was sustained lobbying and advocacy plan, which I'm happy. Your name? Sorry, your name? No.
Anna Maria.
Yeah.
Anna Maria.
Anna Maria. Yes. Yeah. Thanks. You could see myself still dancing with my community members. In fact, this year we had a very one-year celebration on the 26th May, and we had a lot of people coming, including our lawyer, Lucy, and others, all over Africa, and many people came for the celebration.
Not the first lawyer.
Yeah.
Not your first lawyer.
The first lawyer came.
You see?
Yeah, he came. He came. In fact, he came with a wife. He came with a wife. And he came and we gave him a chance, and he said, why I'm here is because I still believe what I started. He said, I got a job, yes, but I still am always supporting the Ogiek, and I'm always with you and all that. And it was actually interesting. Yeah. So we had a lot of support from pool of experts. In fact, we had many people all over the world coming to support us. Others writing to us, even when I'm here, many people write on how they want the strategies, how they want to push the government, and support from all these. These are big brains which are seated here, and we will need your support. And I told you about the gender and youth inclusivity. Most of them were always there. Now the youths are always on Facebook supporting the Ogiek issue. They are the one, and we are now telling them, you know, we are not getting young anymore. We need your input, we need your support. So they are always coming in, communication and campaign strategy. We also resource mobilized to see that we have funds to keep everything moving, and even to keep the office going, to keep everything going. A lot of legal empowerment. We have trained a lot of paralegals from the community, many of them, and human rights monitors, women and youth, and they are supporting with information. So whenever anything happens, we have evidence. And one of the issues which make the case successful was we have complete and accurate evidences, which it was very hard. When the government were asked, they were unable to give anything to counter, because there were facts, they were in the files, they were not able to change. And also, we have been also trying to do a lot of conflict management among ourselves, the Ogiek community, because it was not very easy, because like now, in fact, 3 weeks ago, we had the senator who was nominated, myself, another gentleman who is called the chairman of Ogiek Council of Elders. had an issue because the senator felt I was undermining him, that I didn't respect him, that I didn't look at him because, of course, he is younger, and one time he was my accountant. So he felt like, since he's now a very senior man in government, and now that he was my accountant, I don't respect him. Then we had a meeting with a few elders. I asked him, we are on top. And whenever you are on top, you become a topic, right? People talk about you when you are on top. Anna Maria is not good, is good, is not good, is good. You know, all these are there. Because you are on top, right? So I asked him, you are now the senator, so you expect people to talk about you. So why do you feel I'm undermining you? So until we agreed, we discussed, and we are now supporting one another. We have had now several meetings after that together so that we can forge one direction for the community. So this has not been very easy, but it has worked very well. So that was it. This was the day of the celebration, and we were very, very, very happy. So may I say thank you very much, and God bless all of you. Thank you.